Good afternoon, everybody. It is Monday, March 15th, 2021, and it is almost the luck of the Irish. A couple more days to green beer here in Wisconsin, and I suppose everywhere else. So I've updated the stocks of the week piece. I'm almost done. I'm going through all of the charts. I've got about 3/4 of them done. A couple companies to add. But formatting this similar to the retirement income options where it's very easy to follow. And I will walk through that with you real quick right now. First of all, the list in here are the oscillators of everything that's on the very short list, some things that have been on, some things that I'm looking at. So it's an expanded VSL, and it's for you to use just for sorting and trying to get an idea of the way things look. In fact, let me show it to you. So this will download from TradingView. If you don't have TradingView that you can use the screener, I will give this to you every week. And this is just a number of their oscillators. Some of them you'll recognize, and some of them you may not. Relative strength index you see there, some stochastics. Very easy to sort if you'd like to. I believe it's already sorted by RSI. It is. So these are your lowest RSI on the weekly. Notice there's virtually nothing that's oversold because we had a big bounce back week last week. You have quite a few that are getting there for oversold. They have to head on down. We just started nibbling on We Energies last week. There's a couple others that you'll recognize here. Merck's been interesting. Teladoc got oversold. A few others. A lot of these are less oversold than they were. Sunrun, which I might add back to the VSL, we'll see. But you run through them. AT&T, really not oversold on the weekly because it's been shopping along for quite a while now. They have the awesome oscillator, which is theirs. So you can go and learn about all these things on TradingView in their learning section, their educational section. But this is just a tool to help you out. So that's what this is. Make sure you read using the plug and play stocks, using charts. A blank action column means there's just nothing that's jumping out at me to do. And I'm filling these in very simply. Everything on the plug and play. Buy below 45, buy below 14, that sort of thing. If I have something in the action, it means that we're relatively close to having an action. Broadcom, I think, is an outright sell. So let's take a look at that. This really has broken out. Hit a 2.618 line, which is a target, corrected a bit, and then started to run back up. My guess is that this heads back down. We probably see it in this area pretty quickly. Does it break all the way down here? I don't know. I think there's probably an argument for me moving this up to here, 325, and maybe I'll do that. But I for sure don't want it above 360. And I think that it gets down to 360 pretty certainly. Once it gets to that range, though, we have to really pay attention and say, okay, is there a lot of downside momentum, or is it going to hold this area up here? So that's what I'm doing with the list, giving you everything every week, easy to follow. I've updated about 25 charts today in the VSL. I have a few more to go. I think about half of this list left to go. And then that'll be all ready for you. 2 focus trades this week. I think Sirius is looking like it's getting ready to break out. I think you should really, if you don't have a position here, you should either be buying it on like any down day, because this line looks like it's just right. I mean, it really looks like it nailed the trend line. And when this takes off on the consolidation with the Liberty balance sheet, you're probably going to see it really rally. And they've added a director to their board, that independent director. I think that means that you should expect a strategic transaction. And if nothing else, Malone is very good at unlocking value. And he used this vehicle to, he used the Liberty vehicle to bail out Formula One. And he added some Live Nation to it. So my guess is that the Liberty vehicle spins out some of the assets they brought on board to bail out Formula One and gives it cash. And then they probably just buy this lock, stock, and barrel. That would be my guess. We'll see how they jigger things together, but owning the Liberty Sirius tracker, and then owning Sirius are probably a good idea. I mean, this really, look how that's tracking. I mean, rise, come back to the line, rise, come back to the line. This is a pretty interesting play right here. I really like Sirius. I think probably get it to run towards 12 pretty easy. Other one is Ford. I just think that folks who aren't believers yet, you need to believe. I've been trying to pound this one into you, but it's, this box, I've had a similar box here for months and months and months. Just keeps on climbing. All the reasons that we've talked about why it can break out. And I think this is a worst case scenario that it rallies to 20-ish. I really think it probably goes way up here to 40-ish. I do have a couple of SPACs that I want to talk about, but probably save those for next week. I want to get the articles out. The interview on Friday with Tuttle is in podcast form now. And Seeking Alpha will be putting that out tomorrow. I'm also writing an article about the SPAC ETFs. I don't know how I'm going to do it exactly, but I'll get that done tonight. And I will fire out an article. Actually, I probably won't have that done till Wednesday. So I'm going to fire it out Wednesday, the article on SPACs, and that'll have the video in there as well as the podcast, I think. We'll see. Maybe just do the podcast. I have to see what Seeking Alpha wants me to do. But the video will be up as soon as I get it edited. I'm talking to a couple of production people this week because I don't want to do the production of these videos and podcasts. I need somebody to do that for me. So I'm hiring somebody to do it every weekend. So should be pretty good. If you've taken a look at your portfolio today and it's anything like mine, the stock market ended the day about flat. Oh, it did rally right into the close on. Okay. I was going to say we were way ahead of the market. Rallied into the close, so I don't know what that did. I haven't looked at my portfolio since about 2 o'clock. But gold was up 1.5 today. Gold stocks were up 1.5. A lot of the SPACs started to recover. Fast was up a lot today, so I hope you're enjoying that. What else we got? Ajax rallied a little bit. Liberty was up just a shade. MP Materials was up a bunch. That's been very, very volatile. Space Mobile, which right now is New Provident, NPA. I really hope you own NPA. So I've talked about it a number of times. And, I talk about these things before I put a lot out in print because I'm trying to give you a head start. Once it's in print, it's out into the wind. And I know because I've seen from Motley Fool on stealing my work, because everybody steals everybody's work, that some of these stocks, I want you to get into them before the crowd does. So if you can sell puts on some of these, if you're older, go ahead. If you're a growth investor, you got to be just buying some of these. And the whole concept of buying the SPACs when they're close to the IPO price, remember, they have a huge margin of safety because of the pile of cash there. So anything with a 10 or 11 handle, you buy the dips. Make sure you're using your technical indicators. Somebody asked, do I expect more volatility if the 10-year Treasury continues to head towards 2%? Well, that's what I've been saying for several months now. I've been saying that since September. So the dollar is probably going to stay firm, chop along at the worst. But the bottom line, that all these people who chant fiat currency, fiat currency, fiat currency, whatever, they can take a fiat foot up their ass. They don't know what they're talking about. They just don't. In the global economic system, the dollar is so superior to everything else that a trading range is just a trading range. So you shouldn't expect the dollar to ever collapse. You shouldn't expect hyperinflation. Anybody who's trying to scare you into that is just trying to sell you something. The United States could print $30 trillion. They could print an entire economy. And all that would mean is that we'd have a one-time price adjustment in the dollar. But it wouldn't be cutting the value of the dollar in half. It'd be cutting the value of the dollar by 10, 20, maybe 30%. Big deal. If we really did helicopter money, which is certainly what it seems like we're planning to do, and I've been talking about it for years now, it just means that we take the best economy of the world, we fix it, and then everybody else has to try to catch us. That's all it means. Our economy is so much better than everybody else's. Everything about our system is better than everybody else's. It's that simple. You can challenge it. You can say it's imperfect. But the idea that there's another large economy that can do what we do, it's just wrong. They don't have the integrated systems. They don't have the legal systems. They don't have the technology. They don't have the entrepreneurship. They don't have the capital. They don't have the military. They don't have docile neighbors. They don't have two oceans. They don't have all the resources that they possibly use. We're so far ahead in the Sun Tzu meets Machiavelli game that it's not anything that you and probably even your grandchildren will ever have to worry about as a serious threat to U.S. strength via the dollar and a crypto dollar at some point. So in the short term, do you get volatility from interest rates going up a little bit? Yeah. And ask yourself why those interest rates are going up. It's because smart people recognize how strong the U.S. is relative to everybody else. And that's why you should buy equities on every pullback. Now, we missed a big pullback because I thought it would become a bigger pullback. And now we're going to get these rotating pullbacks and we need to buy them and find the spots to do that. And that means being on the right parts of the barbell. Finding places where you can limit your correlation to the S&P 500, gold stocks, SPACs, some real estate, handful of other alternatives. Recognize that in the presidential cycle, the choppiness is probably in the first year, right? That's typical. That goes back 150 years. First year of the presidential cycle is usually the worst year in the stock market for that presidency. We should expect that this year. It wouldn't surprise me that this is a 0 year. So put the FOMO behind you. I saw a post somewhere in one of the websites talking about missed an opportunity to buy something at the top of the buy zone, maybe. No. Be more disciplined than that. Be more disciplined than that. Be very careful. Be patient. Strike when you're supposed to strike. Not just because you feel like buying something. And I mention that right now because we might get a little bit of a rally sometime in the next month or two. But usually those rallies will be met with sell-offs. So don't get scared because it goes down for a week, but super happy because it goes up for a week. Recognize what's going on for what it is, which is a topping process. Do we set new highs again? Probably. Does the S&P 500 get to the shiny object that I said it would get to back in January? 4,000? Shiny round number, probably. That's just a taste. Don't focus so much on the market. Focus on the things that you want to own. Find the spots where they come back to you. That's what this is about. This is designed to help you find the spots. I'm going to replace a couple of these because some of these are so overvalued that I might even just create an ancillary list. Awesome stocks to buy if there's a crash. In the meantime, just make sure you remember that they're over there. BlackRock and Broadcom are so high right now that they're just sitting here taking up space right now. So take a look at Travel Centers of America when you get a chance. I think that this one on a pullback is probably a buy. This is shaping up to be a pretty interesting entry point. It got down here to the top of our buy zone, bounced off. Now we have to decide what to do when it hits it a second time, because it will. I don't know if it drops down one more level. It makes sense that it would. Somewhere between this yellow line, this orange line is probably where we want to buy it. Again, it can get down here on weird market stuff or bad market stuff. But talk about a rebound stock. Talk about a stock that benefits from supply chains moving to America because the trucks are going to move here now. Even more trucking. I really like Travel Centers of America. I think that this is a stock that could suddenly go to 50 or 60 or 70. Just on the growth of the economy starting pretty much right now. You're starting to get opening up of the economy. A year ago, we were talking about how long would it take for the economy to come back. I kept saying summer of 2022, summer of 2021 with full normalization in 2022. And we're on that pace. Anything you want to talk about? No, ARCA's not bottomed. Neither has QQQ. That's not normal. That's barely a correction. If you want to chase it for a few days at a time, you're more than welcome. But this is coming further down. It's probably coming down into the 80s. Same thing with QQQ. EST, same thing. This has not, man, that's tracking out just like I'm saying. We'll see if this happens. These are not full corrections. Get it out of your head that this is some sort of a significant correction. This would be a significant correction. We suffer from recency bias. From here to here. It's an 80% drop. Took all that time to make it back. 15 years. So now you come here and you say, okay, what's normal? Is this normal? The choppiness with a rally comes back? Or is this normal, straight up? You need to be back on this line. That's your trend line. You want to try to chase it for a few days? Go ahead. Everybody's a great trader when the market goes up. It's pretty easy to see that there's more correction coming. Think in the terms of the corrections rotating. That's what you need to do. You're not going to get a crash probably because there's so much money out there. That's not normal either. So was there a deal, some sort of Viacom deal that I missed? Or is this just a Reddit army thing? And I put them on the list. I didn't even see it go up like this. Oh, so all the streaming services except AT&T, which they all get these giant bumps. HBO Max is the only thing that's legitimate. You can legitimately compare to Netflix. This is just retard trading. That's what they call it on Reddit. I'm not trying to disparage anybody. That's what they call it on Reddit. This is retard trading. It's going to come all the way back, just like GameStop. And then will it go like this for a while? Maybe. You bought this at $13.50. I'd sell 75 or 80% of it. I'd bring it down to a 0.5% position. I might even sell it outright. Regeneron's another one of those companies that used to be a growth stock. It's not a growth stock anymore. It's kind of like a serpent. Somebody quick look up, what is the serpent pattern? What does that usually mean? And that's last year's lunch. That must be breakfast. What's exciting about that? There's nothing exciting about that. 5 years, it's lower after 5 years. It's just a stock that used to be a growth stock. I might take them off our list. I don't even think I want to watch it anymore. I said to sell IVZ quite a while ago, didn't I? Yeah, it hit the 2.618. Could rally up into the low 30s. It could. But you should be managing your position now. You should be starting to scale out. It probably comes up to there. I don't know if I could ever buy this one again, to be honest with you. I think you have to manage this position. If you can sell calls up to like this 35 area, you might want to think about that. But right here is pretty heavy resistance it's going to hit. Will it eventually get bought out or merge with somebody? Maybe. If it merges with somebody, that's bad for them probably. And if they get bought out, then that's good. I don't know who's out there to buy them out other than a big bank. I mean, the rumor at one point was JP Morgan. So yeah, it could rally into the low middle 30s. But I'd start the scaling out process, either by selling covered calls or trimming. I said that back here when it hit 20. Are you telling me the CCI is a buy, or are you asking? The orange box is where I look to buy. If you want to buy in here, just understand you're basically saying that this consolidation is going to result in a breakout. If there isn't more consolidation to go with more downside. Buying right here is not a lot of margin of safety in my view. Buying down here is. So it's riskier to buy up here than it is to buy down here. Yeah, JP Morgan said we'll grow GDP by 8%. Who cares? I mean, really, it's honestly a who cares thing. It's just a who cares thing. Why aren't they framing it the way that it should be framed, which is, where are we compared to 2019? Why do they keep talking about the unemployment rate without regard to all the people who are on PUA? The narratives that are out there, you have to learn how to cut through them because they're distracting, they're misleading, and they're emotional. Try to only care about things that matter. No, I would not sell Liberty Sirius. If you want to add Sirius, then add Sirius, but I wouldn't be trying to pair trade those. Just add them up to the position size that you want to have. And I think going 1-to-1 is probably about the right equation. I own more Liberty than I own Sirius, but that could change imminently, where I might just bring the Sirius up. The reason I own a lot of Liberty is because of why I told you, which is Warren Buffett's loading up on it. He sees what I see, which is another strategic transaction. Almost everything that I have on my list, and I repeat myself because I know there's new people, is there's a lot of strategic transactions out there that I look for. What's going on in GameStop right now, I forecast that 2.5 years ago. Look up the article in my profile, the one about how GameStop would become like Blockbuster if they didn't cut their dividend and get rid of stores and all that stuff and go digital. And now that's exactly what they're talking about 2.5 years later. When I look at these companies, I'm looking at the business. How does this business operate? Where can they make money? How can they cut expenses? How can they grow revenue? What type of a strategic transaction makes sense? Okay, is that sort of thing potentially out there? Well, in entertainment and in communications, for sure that's all out there. Technology is all about growth. But in communications and entertainment, we are in the early stages of a consolidation phase. And we know historically that most strategic transactions work out well for shareholders, not so much always for the labor, but for sure for shareholders and for executives. In these cases, we're shareholders. Understand what it is you're looking at and looking for. And if you're looking to try to become a star trader, if you can't talk about the technicals and the quantitative underlying factors, then you should question about whether or not you can really be a great trader. And maybe you should just stick with the investing, which is a longer term proposition based on things that we can understand and see coming. Now, are there some swing trades out there? Yes, and I've been neglecting them because I know that we're at the top of the market or close to it. But I just gave you a swing trade early in Sirius. This is a technical setup that can break out. I mean, drew this line a couple months ago, and look how it came back to it twice. And this is a curved line. I used a curve here. It has a steep slope. To have gotten it that on the money, this one's going to work. It's going to bust out here through that upper sixes to jump well into the sevens and eights. And if it doesn't come back when it gets up to this peak, right about 8, 10, whatever that is, it's going to keep running. And the reason why the technicals forecast the fundamentals is because they also trail the fundamentals. Fundamentals are what they are. And what I've told you they are with this particular company, the market seems to be agreeing with. The market agrees with certain theses in many cases. When a stock does one of those weird things and it goes straight up, that's just hyperactivity. But when you see a structure like this, that's the smart money saying, okay, how do we get in here without alerting the Reddit army? How do we outflank them? Or whoever else, whatever group of traders it is that's going to bid something up. The stock market is about taking retail, regular person money away from them. That's what it's about. So for you, you want to be on the side of the smart money. Smart money is accumulating this, let it come back. Accumulate it, let it come back. Because they know something's up. They also know that once the Reddit army, for lack of better words, gets a wind of this and decides to bid it up, because it's a $7 stock, a $6 stock, and boy, I can buy a whole 100 shares of this. It really can take off. So my target on this one's 12. I think this is a double waiting to happen in the next year or so. You know, the presidential cycle is the only thing that I worry about. You know, if they're going to do another reconciliation bill, I think they can do it after September 30th. He can do 5 of them during his presidency based on the calendar. I think September 30th is the next one they can do. And the next one they're going to do is going to be fixing the tax code. I hope they do it right. I should say changing the tax code. We'll see if they fix it. And then doing an infrastructure plan. And what I'm seeing and reading is that you're going to see about a $4 trillion long-term infrastructure plan over 10 years. $4 trillion over 10 years. That's probably about what we need. This is the first time, this is one of the few things that, in my opinion, that Donald Trump had very right, was we ought to spend a ton on infrastructure. So we'll see. I like Komatsu. I like Komatsu. I just updated the chart today. These are all, I put them on the VSL as I went too. So this is, it's breaking out for sure. You need a pullback. I think we'll get 28-ish. And I think you have to buy it at 28-ish. It's been way higher, way back there. But let it come down. Wait, let it come down. Let Kathy Wood get her butt kicked again, and then buy it. EP is grotesquely high. Way too high. Way, bro. Way too high. Start it again. We'll start from scratch. So this is last big rally before coronavirus crash. That wasn't too terribly normal, but given that there was some catch up to do on the renewable side, let's call this more normal than this, right? These levels down here in around 20, don't think that they're not in play. They are. We'll do another fib retracement from that bottom to the top. This is the current retracement. So 33 is probably the highest I would buy it at. Let's take a look at this extension. Take a look at the first one. Start to see a little confluence right there. So let's do the current extension. Oh, we can't really do the current extension because we don't have another place for it to come to. We'd have to guess. So BEP, try to make this easy to look at. All right. $618 line. Not much overlap, man. This floor down here, see where all these lines meet? That's a pretty natural floor. 618 over here. Couple lines of confluence. That's probably going to be important. This is your wide zone. From this 618, well, those two lines are close to each other. Does it match up with some jitterbugging? It does. That's how you confirm. Do the jitterbugs match up? Top of the zone. So that's probably where we're looking for there. Could you buy it in the low 30s? Yeah, you could. For sure, you could sell some cash secured puts. This came down more than I thought it did. But this is not done. That's this pattern here. It almost always turns back over. Very rare that it would zip out like that. This is the end of the head and shoulders. So let it get over here for you sometime later in the year. Say 34 to 20. Hey, Dimitri, if you're watching, I've been updating the VSL. You can see what I tried to do with the price column. There's some spots where it stays white. I'm not really sure why. So when you get a chance, that would be swell. Currently have 230 stocks on the list. That is too many. Try to whittle that down. All right. Well, good for you. So you sold 75%, much closer to the top. Yeah, that's awesome. I know we talked about it a while back. Time flies. That's probably 2 months ago we talked about this, huh? I think I remember talking about it in December. I don't remember where we talked about it. Yeah, some of the other companies, there are certain companies that they're good companies. Somebody's asking about construction companies. First of all, we're a year away from any infrastructure actually happening. So that means these companies can just slowly stockpile. Freeport-McMoRan is the one that tends to outperform all the others on those types of rallies. So I'll put out some charts that show you. But what I'd like you to do is go to Seeking Alpha, because you have that, or TradingView or whoever. And I don't know what all you have. If you put in Rio Tinto, right, and then compare it to McMoRan and Vulcan, is Vulcan VC. Just these three. In 5 years. So Freeport did the worst there. But go back to 2009. Freeport killed them coming out of the financial crisis. Right? So you can buy a basket. We can do an ETF materials basket. Excel, maybe it is. Or you can cherry pick the companies. I like to buy a basket, and then what I think are the 1 or 2 or 3 best companies. I like Komatsu. I like Freeport-McMoRan. It's probably the way I would play it would be an ETF, and then those 2 stocks. But you have to get them on their pullbacks. This is where you'll be able to find the podcast tomorrow morning. So Seeking Alpha, watch and listen, podcasts. And interestingly, these never go behind the paywall. I just found that out today. And I think Investing 2020s is going to be on here. It's going to go under Marketplace Roundtable to start. I got to talk to them about that. I want them to brand it as mine. All right, anything else? Nope. All right. I will finish this up. I've charted most of them. So take a look at the VSL. It's starting to get filled in again. Have a wonderful evening.